Hello students, welcome to La Excellence. Welcome to our ninth session of Weekly Magazine. And in this session, we'll be covering from 23rd April to 29th April 2017. The essay for the week is Science Without Religion is Lame, Religion Without Science is Blind. Other major topic apart from your social issues is with respect to science, where UPSC keep asking you one or the other format of questions with respect to science as well. Every 2 to 3 years once, one question will be asked, especially from science. So try to gather information with respect to these statements as well. In GS1, the major issue which is in news is actually with respect to Dal Lake. As I have clearly told you, this year, rather than focusing on world geography, we have to focus more on Indian geography through maps, where we need to look at rivers, we need to look at lakes, mountains are important, national highways are important. This year, at least 3 to 4 questions can be expected from these aspects. As the High Court of Jammu and Kashmir has given a verdict to stop pollution in Dal Lake, it's very important for us to see what exactly are the reasons for this, and we also need to know what are some of the properties of this particular lake on which questions can be asked. Some of the major causes are the direct discharge of sewage from houseboats, where you're aware that on Dal Lake for tourism purpose these houseboats are allowed and they are also causing some of the major pollution. Reduction of plant cover in the catchment area, interruptions to the flow of water, human encroachments, increase in population within the catchment area, all these have resulted in deterioration of water quality. Now, some of the important facts with respect to Dal Lake. You should be aware that it is also known as Jewel in the crown of Kashmir or Srinagar's Jewel. The Mughal gardens which are actually present here, Shalimar Bagh and Nishat Bagh, were built during Emperor Jahangir. And the lake covers 18 square kilometers and is part of natural wetlands. The floating gardens are known as Rad in Kashmiri. Very important. The lake is located within the catchment area covering 316 square kilometers in the Zabarwan mountain valley in the foothills of the Shankaracharya hills. High possibility they may ask you anything within these factual data that is given. In mains, if they ask you the causes, you have to write these points. So guys, Dal Lake is very important this year. So let's move quickly to the other topic which is important from the next paper. Central government has actually planned to make a nodal body for transport. One of the major problem with transportation in India is that you have Ministry of Shipping separately, you had railways separately, national highways separately, waterways separately. And now some of these ministries are combined, but finally the goal is to ensure that there is only one Ministry of Transport which will have control over all the transporting system. If this can happen, then it will be very helpful to ensure that our growth rate will be easy and ease of doing business, and India's trade will also increase. As there are multiple ministries involved, if you need any permission for construction of anything, if land is under the control of Railway Ministry, it is not going to give permission for construction of bridges for the national highways. And there are some sort of confusions and delays with respect to different ministries which are actually present. So to ensure that government has only one nodal agency which will help in quick movement of files and permission will be given across departments, they are thinking of Ministry of Transport. This is nothing new. If you look at almost all the developed countries, and even when you look at BRICS countries, we come to know that all these countries have only one ministry, that is Ministry of Transport. So we need to do this in India as well to ensure that there is no delay in any project implementation, and also there is no wastage of resources. If there is one railways connected for the development of a port, the highways need not bother about the same stretch. It can help in converging from the other ways as well. So it's very important for us to ensure that this happens as soon as possible. As it would take time, the union government as a first step is planning to establish a board called as Logistics and Integrated Transport Board, and this will try to cover different ministries, and this board will take up matters from different ministries like finance, commerce, industry, external affairs, home, as well as senior representatives from the Indian industry and legal experts. So they will suggest what should be done, so that will try to unite different ministries initially, and over a period of time this will actually help in improving or making a single ministry, right? This was also recommended by Rakesh Mohan committee, where in this committee they told that it is not only in India, almost all the OECD countries, BRICS countries have this, and we also have to look into this. And the other major thing recently that has happened with respect to transport is that India has been thinking to be part of United Nations TIR convention. That is actually with respect to transport. So here it actually ensures that whoever is party to this convention, there are almost around 70 countries which are parties to that will help in seamless movement of goods within and amongst the parties to the convention. If India joins this, then India will be getting access in all these countries as well. So this is an important convention, and if India is part of this, it would be beneficial. Remember guys, China is going for one belt, one road, where it is increasing its connectivity across the world. And there is something called as North-South corridor, which India is also planning to be part of. So when the era has shifted slowly towards increasing relationship or convergence of distance between countries, where every country wants to open up the borders for movement of goods, where they can get some sort of money, it is very important for us to look at this. You might come across BBIN network in next slides, where we will be focusing and showing you what is happening between Bangladesh, Bhutan, India and Nepal. At the same time, we have something called as BMIC, Bangladesh, Myanmar, India and China. India is going with Myanmar and Thailand. It may reach up to Vietnam. So all these factors shows that there is cross-country connectivity with respect to transport. New agreements in international fora today is actually with respect to this transport connectivity. This can be an important question that can be asked. So I'll be showing you some of them, but my request is please try to write about these whenever you're writing about the regional organizations as well. The next topic is actually with respect to delay in the quota reforms to erode IMF's credibility, which was recently said by Arun Jaitley. When we are talk about our reserve positions or forex reserves, India Yearbook and other pages clearly say that gold, SDRs, foreign currencies and reserve tranche position in IMF are some of the forex reserves that India and other countries possess. When we are talking about this, what exactly is the quota reforms or money that India and other countries have kept in IMF? IMF gives a certain quota, or it says 100% quota means this much dollars or investment made by different countries. For example, 100% quota or 100 may be equal to some $1,000 billion, and every country would have kept some money with IMF, and on the basis of the deposits made by these countries, they will get a share in the voting power. Mostly the developed countries and United States has major voting powers, and developing countries do not have major voting powers. Because of this, what is actually happening is all these developing countries, they are planning to establish their own banks. For example, you got NDB, New Development Bank of BRICS, after the Fortaleza Declaration. And you also have Chinese AIIB, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Once these banks have come, the relevance of IMF is actually reducing if it is not increasing the quotas. That is, it has to say that 100 will be equal to 15,000 or $15 billion, where now the remaining $500 billion may be added by the developing countries, so that if developed countries have 1,000 and developing countries have 500, then the quota will be 33% for the developing countries. Then they can come together and they can also influence in the voting and also loan giving rights of IMF. Arun Jaitley and other developing country finance ministers has clearly said that if IMF doesn't do this, then its relevance and also the relevance of Bretton Woods institutions will be reduced. So this is what is actually explained in this. Usually they may ask you in mains, where they may ask you, with new banks like NDB, AIIB, ADB and other regional banks coming up, what is the role of IMF and World Bank? Or they may ask you, what impact does this have on IMF and World Bank? This is clearly explained in this particular page. Whatever I told you, the same thing is present. So if you can add these points in your answer, you may score well, right? So guys, this is very, very important for us to look at this. Again, the next important topic we need to focus is with respect to BBIN, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India and Nepal. And the agreement is Motor Vehicles Agreement, which actually talks about free movement of vehicles across these territories. It was actually planned first through SAARC. They wanted to establish Motor Vehicles Agreement in SAARC, but Pakistan said they are not interested. After that, we went for sub-regionalism. Earlier, we wanted to go through regionalism, as SAARC is not working effectively because of disputes between India and Pakistan, or at least because of Pakistan. We are going for sub-regionalism. We are also seeing this Sabka Saath, your satellites being launched, where we are excluding Pakistan. So high possibility questions about SAARC minus Pakistan are already asked, and they may ask in future as well. So to counter regionalism, sub-regionalism is the new thing that countries are focusing on. That is, if you take even European Union, there are several countries which are part of European Union, but they are not part of Euro. Just to ensure that an agreement should not be stopped because few countries within the regional organization is not agreeing for it. So the same way, even in other regional organizations, we are looking at this trend. BBIN is in danger mainly because Bhutan, the country which actually looks at happiness of the people and which respects environment and climate mostly, is actually worried about the increased vehicular transport, which may actually lead to increased pollution. And their second argument is that we already have free trade or free movement of vehicular agreements with India, and 95% of our trade is with India, and it is not with Bangladesh or Nepal. So then what is the use of this additional thing which will have more impact on Bhutan, is what the Bhutan argument is. But till now, nothing is yet ratified. So please have some hope that India may convince Bhutan to be part of this, right? So BBIN, if they ask you full form, you should be knowing about it. And the second thing you need to know about this is, they may ask you BBIN is actually with respect to trade, motor vehicular movement. It is with respect to climate change. It is with respect to economy, something of this sort, free trade. Anything can ask. So you should be careful. It is with respect to motor vehicular agreement, right? And I told you we are also focusing with BCIM as well. That is Bangladesh, China, India and Myanmar. Guys, all these are very important for our preparation this year. And the next important issue in next paper from science and technology point of view is 3D printing. As you're aware, 3D printing technology is very important. You need to read about this carefully both from prelims and mains point of view. Whenever we are looking at 3D printing, even with respect to autograph, now in biotechnology also the 3D printing is there, where it is actually producing new parts of the people, which will actually have more benefit to the industry. So we need to look at this 3D printing carefully, where now it has started using glass. What it does is, whenever you have these polymers or anything that is attached, so you'll have some one after the other attachments being done. Whatever shape you want, it can be formed with the help of these glasses. So if you want a doll, that polymers one after the other, they attach and give you the required shape that is required for that particular object to be formed. Now, what can be done, or what is the process of this called? This is actually called as stereolithography, where it uses 3D printing technology to create models. For example, you need to create different computer models to show how exactly things see. Earlier we used to show in 2D technology. That is, in 2D space you should draw something and show. Now with 3D technology, you can actually show how exactly a building comes up. Earlier on white sheet they used to draw and tell how building comes up. Now in computer they show you actually how does the building looks like in the 3D structure. Those kind of models can be made. Prototypes, if you have a product, a similar product can be made, which I told you with respect to the body parts as well. Patterns and production parts, which are very important in nanotechnology and biotechnology, can also be formed with the help of these. 3D printing technology is next generation, where they are saying that it is similar to IT revolution. 3D printing revolution will also bring lot of changes in the science and technology field. Because of this, it's very important for us to look at this. In stereolithography, you should remember that the remaining materials will be usually in liquid, and the glass can be removed subsequently by heating. And what exactly is 3D printing? The creation of a 3D printed object is achieved using additive processes. In an additive process, an object is created by laying down successive layers of material until the object is created. As I told you, they'll be adding it, and this will be connected with small polymers like subjects, and whatever shape they want and size they want, they can actually make with the help of this. Each of these layers can be seen as a thinly sliced horizontal cross section of an eventual object. For example, if I take this particular object, then you can see that there are some horizontal lines which are actually present, right? So this is how the layers will be there. After that, this will be heated and cleaned as well, right? So guys, these applications are very important from biomedical engineering, where we are looking at producing body parts. In aerospace and automobile manufacturing as well, it is very important, where this has seen especially in the formation of designs of the aerospace and automobile manufacturing. Then construction and architecture, I told you buildings and all can be shown clearly with the help of this. And then you have product prototyping. The meaning of this is new products with same design, with same accuracy can be produced with the help of these. So high possibility they may ask you what is 3D printing and what are the applications of this. Like nanotechnology and others, when they ask you, it is very important for you to read this. Guys, very simple, mains topic mostly, but in prelims if they are asking you, look at these definitions that I have given you. The next major issue in this week was actually with respect to the Naxal attack, which actually led to murder at noon. Maoist attack on CRPF actually led to a huge massacre of our Jawans, and this was in news. high possibility they may ask you a question with respect to the problems in internal security. When we actually study internal security, there is a topic by name development linkages with extremism. The term clearly says that we are actually seeing that exclusive development activities is actually leading to extremism in Naxal affected areas. There, the people's support to these Naxals are mainly because of this exclusive developmental activities. So, which started in Naxal Bari in West Bengal, spread to almost around 9 to 10 states today, spread across 76 districts in 9 states. We call it to be a red corridor. Across these, we are seeing our Jawans being killed regularly. And some of the main reasons for this even today is Jal, Jameen and Jungle. Water, land and forest are some of the reasons which actually lead to the problems in these areas. When we are talking about the land acquisition of the tribal areas, which actually leads to displacement of these people, is ensuring that these people go and join Naxalism. And on the other hand, when we are talking about the forest rights, earlier government's Environmental Protection Act actually led to forests being treated as separate entities from the human beings, and the tribal communities were separated from that. With the Forest Rights Act of 2006, now we are talking about the joint protection of the forest along with the tribal communities as well. And Indian government plan to ensure that Naxal affected regions are protected is through your integrated action plan, integrated development plan, where government is giving lot of money to ensure that first thing they focus is on surrender, where they give some money to these Naxals to surrender. Then they use greyhounds and other good force to ensure that they are trained well to fight in these regions with the help of localites. The problem of these localites is if they support government, Naxals will kill them, and if they support Naxals, government's agencies will kill them or torture them. So this is some of the common problems which we usually see in this region. So surrender, greyhounds, and then we also look at development activities where we talk about roads, railways, giving some food, money, all these in these regions. It's very, very important for us to look at these processes which are important. So we use force, we use money, and at the same time the development activities, all these has successfully led to reduction in Naxals in Andhra Pradesh and other areas. Again, now sometimes these are increasing. So it's very, very important for us to look at this. High possibility this year in mains there can be a question about this. The respective factors which are required for this is given here. So please ensure that you are going through this carefully once. So then guys, there is other topic with respect to politics and the police, where I have clearly told you again and again that police reforms is very, very important. In our first magazine, we have given you the 7-point directive on police reform. Supreme Court is again talking about this. Please look into this again. Right? From mains point of view, this is important, not from prelims point of view. The next important issue that we need to focus is actually with respect to generic medicines in a digital era, where there is a call made by Prime Minister and other government officials to ensure that there should be mandatory prescription of generic name of medicine by the doctors rather than going by the costliest medicines. That is, doctors, rather than prescribing the costliest medicine, they should also focus on giving the generic name for that, which is at a cheaper cost, and it will benefit majority of the people. There is increasing nexus between hospitals and these companies which actually produces the medicines, where they have a tendency to give some particular medicines which are not available generally or which is not available at a lower cost. So this will make healthcare reforms or healthcare expenditure to increase. So the government is planning that it should increase. But one of the major problem with this generic medicines is it is said that approximately 10% of these drugs procured are not of standard quality. If that happens, then this entire campaign of use of generic drugs will not be encouraged by the doctors, and doctors will get an opportunity to say, because of this fear, we don't want to recommend them, right? So this is important. Always remember, whenever we talk about some issues, it is not that all doctors are bad or all institutions are bad. We say that mostly this is the case. That is the reason government has taken up this measure. There is one measure taken up by the government to ensure that this generic medicines is available to the people is the Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. It is a countrywide campaign to ensure availability of generic medicine, and under this scheme, the Jan Aushadhi stores are open to provide quality and affordable medicines to all. So, generic medicines is very, very important for us. So guys, after this, we have a case study for you from ethics. So just go through this carefully and answer these questions. Thank you guys. Thanks for watching.